Reactions have been pouring in from Capitol Hill. Before Biden made that decision, there were more than 36 Democratic lawmakers calling for him to step aside. Several senators who are facing tough reelection campaigns in their home states, like John Tester and Sherrod Brown, joined those calls in recent days. The chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Susan Delbene of Washington, praised the president's decision to exit the race, calling him, quote, the most consequential president in modern history. She added his legacy will be one of principled leadership with a focus on families and communities. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a statement, quote, Joe Biden has not only been a great president and a great legislative leader, but he is a truly amazing human being. He went on to say Biden once again put his country, party, and future first. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said, quote, President Biden is one of the most accomplished and consequential leaders in American history. America is a better place today because President Joe Biden has led us with intellect, grace, and dignity. In contrast, Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York said, quote, if Joe Biden can't run for re-election, he is unable and unfit to serve as president of the United States. He must immediately resign. Let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion. So, Nikole, what other notable congressional reaction are you following?
Well, I think you summarized most of it. I mean, look, one thing I would point out is that in terms of some of the congressional leaders that we have heard from, while much of their statements have been in praise of the president, they have not necessarily endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris, whereas we have seen more rank-and-file members do the same. I would also note that in terms of congressional Republicans, as you pointed out with Congresswoman Stefanik or GOP Conference Chair Stefanik's statement, there are a number of congressional Republicans who believe that the president should resign. That being said, there are other more sympathetic Republicans like Mitt Romney who praised the work of the president and said that he felt that he made the right decision, but didn't go as far as some of his Republican colleagues. One thing I would also note is that we know that the vice president has really been working the phones for the better part of the day, reaching out and speaking with a number of congressional members and leaders, everyone from Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries to the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and other chairs of what is called the Tri-Caucus, the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, as well as Judy Chu, who heads CAPAC, which is the Organization for Asian American Lawmakers. In addition to that, we know that the vice president has also spoken with the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, as well as the chair of the New Democrat Coalition, which makes up a broad swath of Democratic members in the House, Congresswoman Annie Kuster. So she has been, really trying to shore up support among members, many of whom who have already come out in support, endorsing the vice president, but certainly understanding that she may have more work to do to fully shore up that support from congressional Democrats as she seeks to become the nominee.
That said, Nancy had mentioned the name Joe Manchin. What are you learning from sources about the appetite of coalescing behind Harris versus an open primary?
Well, I think, that is something that remains to be seen. There have certainly been some calls for an open primary or a mini primary of sorts. But I can tell you, having just gotten off of a call with organizers unrelated to the Hill, I would note that, and this is a key constituency group in support of the Biden-Harris administration agenda, the point was also made that this really is a time to try to unite, that there is not a whole lot of time to move forward in the sense of, names have to be printed on ballots, and also understanding that it's important to try to elevate someone to the nominee position as soon as possible, again, so that the party can move forward.
Nikole Killion, thank you.